Okay, came back from a 10-day vacation, see if I can remember how to finish this. Well, I went ahead and put 54 ounces of 2050 weight motor oil in there, and brought it up to the level corresponding to the instruction sheet here for our model. Our model is this ZT2100, and it holds 54 fluid ounces approximately. And then here's the fluid levels, the minimum and the maximum. So I have it set up past the maximum actually, because I ran the pump by hand a few turns, and that pulled it down some, and I added it back up to the maximum again. I'm anticipating that it once I hook it back all up and run the motor on the purge sequence to purge all the air out like the instructions state, that I'll lose the level down to the minimum. And that being the case, because it says on the in the manual to recheck after you purge, but unfortunately, here's the right hand side. You can see there's no way. This is a hole right here where the breather apparatus comes up through for the left hand side. That one I'm going to replace, but there's no access to the unit once it's bolted up into place. So other than unbolting it and taking it back down again to check the fluid, or I could drill a hole through the thing, but I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to overfill it a little bit, and then seal her up, and then bolt it fast, and then purge it, and call it a day as far as the fluid level goes. I'm pretty sure it'll be close, because I filled it up to the top here, and I started running the pump by hand, which really, to make the pump work, you have to run it a lot faster than when I can turn it by hand here on the bench. It pulled the fluid down to the minimum, and then I filled it up to the maximum level and turned it by hand again for a few minutes, and it didn't change level at all. So then I topped it off with to put it up to the maximum as per the instructions here. Okay, I'm going to move on. I'm going to tighten this down here, put the plug back in. This is a combination filled plug and drain plug. There was no bottom drain plug. So we're going to tighten that baby down and get it ready to mount back onto the mower. Okay, I have it positioned on my floor jack now. That way, sort of like a three-hand operation, but I'll use the floor jack as my third hand. I'll raise it up and line it up all at the same time. Use 1/2 inch. This particular mounting has a 1/2 inch long, size bolts. Okay, we'll move on. Okay, everything is bolted in place, tightened down the mounting. So the next move will be to connect the levers, the linking rods that hook to the bottom of the levers. Okay, little hint here. These two tools down here that I used. I used a 1/2 inch ratchet wrench and a 1/2 inch open end box end wrench for this particular job. It just worked out better. I like the combination ratchet wrenches and versus the socket wrench if you can get in there with it. Okay, now here's a little hint there for you. Always zip tie out of your way all the things that might hang you up when you go to put stuff in or take stuff out. I did this when I zip tied the control levers up out of the way so that it would give me a free and easy path to run the unit back up into where it bolted. Just thought I'd put that out. So now I'm going to cut that. And now it's in position to reattach. Same way with the one on the back, but I can't get under there without the proper tools and a camera in my hand at the same time. So take my word for it, I'm going to just get under there and disconnect the zip ties that I have, and then bolt everything back together again. Then we'll continue on. When I come back, I'll have the lawnmower set up ready for the purge, and we'll go over that real quick. Okay. Quick review of what I just finished so far. You're not going to be able to see much. There's an issue with me crawling around. I have artificial knees, so I'm going to do the best I can. Up inside, just have to reconnect the drive pulley and the tensioner pulley, and then on the back side there's a braking system lever that's connected up to the control lever. That has to be bolted back into place. And then on this side you have a bypass valve up front and a control valve rod that has to be. Everything under there is pretty much self-explanatory as far as connecting the control rods. Okay, so that being said, the next step is putting on the new hub. I didn't put it on until this point in time because I just didn't want it in the way of me maneuvering the unit around to mount it. It just gave me more room. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to slide this hub assembly on and bolt it loosely. Now I'm going to bolt it as tight as I can without having the torque go back into the pump and maybe causing some damage in there. And then I'll put the tire on. The way this hub is designed, you can access the hub nut from after the tire is on. So I'll just, when I get the tire on then and tightened up a little bit, I'm going to lower the lawnmower down and then reposition the jack stands, jack it back up and reposition the jack stands, because I'm going to have to run it with the wheels off the ground to do the purge cycle. So this is a pretty straightforward hub assembly deal. This is probably just a dust cover, but the other old system didn't have. Here's the hub, the new hub, and as you can see in there, I think you can see how it's tapered and then ends into a spline. That's a much better design, much stronger than what was originally on this thing. There's no way that I'm gonna break this. So the only downside to something like this usually is you just find the next weakest. You just find the next weakest spot. So you just slide it on like this until the splines mesh, and then you got this lock nut down here, and it's a single-use lock nut. Like I said, we put a little bit of lock locking stuff on there. I don't worry about this too much with this 260 pounds of torque that they want. I'm not going to worry too much about that right now because of the what it's mounted to. This lawnmower, it's not a commercial grade, and I'm going to tighten it up the best I can without having to run to the shop and get a 300-pound torque wrench. Okay, so I'm going to lock this down here and then install the tire. Okay, now I have the bolt running as tight as I can do it. See, this is what I mean by it's transferring into the case. Now I could lock it in with the brake and snug it a little bit more, but I'm not going to take the chance of damaging it. So what I'll do next is I'm going to put the tire on and the 4 lug nuts, and lower the lawnmower down to the ground, and then use the weight of the lawnmower to give me some more leverage to lock it in a little bit snugger, and tighten off the lug nuts also. And then I got to jack the thing back up again and relocate the jack stands to a safer place. Okay, with the lawnmower now sitting firmly on the ground, I can use the and the lug nuts tightened up, I can use the 3/4 inch socket set that I have here with an extension to snug down that axle. So here goes. Okay, now it's been snugged. Now I'm going to go back over the 4 lug nuts now that the wheel's on the ground, and jack it back up so that the wheels are off the ground a little bit. Reconnect the battery, and we'll move on to the purge cycle. Okay, now I got the whole lawnmower back assembled again here. Reattach the battery. Just do a general check over here, because we're going to have it running and we don't want anything to I blocked the front wheels. Okay, got the battery connected. I'll put the key in ignition. Okay, now the wheels are about 2 inches off the ground there. I repositioned the jack stands here, and I'm using the frame of my grass and leaf collection. It's a real heavy, thick metal frame that's bolted to the stamped frame of the lawnmower, so that's what I'm using here. If you don't have this, you'll have to put it onto the stamped frame of the lawnmower. But make sure that your side stands are even, locked into place, and vibration will not move them around. And so now the last procedure here, I'll read it, is the purging procedure. And it says here, due to the effects of air has on efficiency of hydrostatic drive applications, it is critical that we purge this system. Okay, first we have to, number one, we have to With the bypass valve open and the engine running, slowly move the directional control in forward and reverse directions 5 to 6 times. As air is purged from the unit, the oil level will drop. Okay, and then with the bypass valve closed and the engine running, slowly move the directional control in both forward and reverse directions 5 to 6 times. Check the oil level and add oil as required after stopping the engine. It may be necessary to repeat steps 1 and 2 until all the air is completely purged. Okay, what they mean by the bypass valve is, if you look down here, you got these 2 rings, and they're connected to a bypass valve. And what that allows you to do is to open that valve or close that valve. You open it, they're in the open position right now, which allows you to push the lawnmower around. But when you pull them back and release them like this, they close, and then the lawnmower is basically in gear then. The forward controls will work. So what they want me to do is they want me to open these bypass valves, start the lawnmower up, and then cycle the rods forward and back. But the one part of the whole deal here which scares me a little bit is they keep referring to checking the oil level. I cannot check the oil level. As you see here, the unit is now in its place, and there is absolutely nowhere to check it. You have to disassemble the whole thing again and drop the unit down to check that oil level. So I'm just going to go by previous experience on other things closely related to this, and I overfilled it, turned it by hand to fill the pump up. It dropped, the level dropped, and then I refilled it, turned it by hand again, and it didn't move at all. So then I ran it all the way up to the maximum level, and I'm hoping that that's going to do the trick as far as the oil level. So, well, we'll find out. So I'm going to go ahead and fire this puppy up. I won't be able to film it because I want to make sure I have all my hands on all the controls. Catch you later. Okay, that's it. It worked fine. Didn't make a noise. I cycled it back and forth at least 10 times with the bypass valve open. Of course, the wheel didn't run then. The pumps don't run then when it's bypassed. But then I shut the unit off, repositioned them bypass rings that I showed you earlier, got back on, started it, and then cycled it again another front and back 10 times, and it worked fine. Ran the other side to compare sounds, and basically it sounded exactly the same as the original side. The only difference I noticed is, if you look, we got the new shaft probably a good inch longer than when the hub is on. With the new redesigned hub, it's maybe a ½ inch longer than the old one. Now, I don't know, maybe I just didn't notice that offset in the wheels because of the discharge unit being on this side. But seems to be working good. I'm going to drop her down to the ground and take a test drive out on the grass, and hopefully I won't have to walk behind that little mower again for a little while. The old artificial knees and bad hips, I don't like that too much anymore. Okay, I'm going to post this second part on Facebook, and on YouTube, and then we'll call this project done later. Remember all that gibberish I was telling you about the axles not lining up, the new axle being a little bit longer than the old one? Well, forget it. Us non-professionals, we make mistakes, and one of them was I put the wheel on backwards. Didn't notice it until I went to check the air pressure, and the valve was on the wrong side. But just thought I'd point that out. None of us are perfect. Other than that, runs good. Just thought I'd wrap this up by taking it out for a test spin, and then I'll post all this. Okay, everybody, hope this helped or talked you out of it one or the other. Catch you guys later. Bye.